Hi guys, my name is Borrodante, and welcome to Cemetery Love. So here we go, as I promised, today I'm gonna try and repaint my super old drawing. This is like easily 10 years old, maybe even more, and this is not an intentional drawing. This was just the best thing I could do at the moment at all. Like, I never did anything beyond a colored sketch. And so now I'll try to fix some issues with the composition and shapes, and of course finalize the whole thing with the new rendering that I'm capable of today. Hopefully not ruin the main thing of this picture and actually improve it. So I decided to do a remake of this, not just because it has a very cute kind of story in it, which is already great, but also just because how awesome the characters are. You can easily read their emotions, what exactly is going on, and how we're supposed to feel about it. Pretty much I'm gonna call this to be an accident in a way. I don't remember I could ever possibly do any picture with this kind of clear representation of what the picture is about, which is probably the main thing that any artist should master. So this was somewhat accidental in a way that I just drew one character, then I drew another one, and they just happened to be very fortunate, so they would just look just right. So it worked out back then, but right now I may be able to work on this a lot more consciously. Hopefully 10 plus years did its thing, and yeah, let's go ahead and analyze what we want to do first. So as I said, we're gonna render the whole thing in full color with nice rich lighting, color abstraction and stuff like that. We're gonna turn the white sketchy background into an actual full color environment. I think we're gonna change a lot of things about the environment because a lot of stuff looks very weird shoved to the very edges of the picture. A lot of uncomfortable tangents everywhere and stuff like that. This forever away horizon, like this is a perfectly flat desert for some reason. And I don't even know what to say about the clouds. These are not clouds at all. The floor in here is just packed with some weird wiggles that do not represent ground, soil, or stone, or anything. So it's not really working out in that sense. This fence right here is obviously in some other dimension with its own perspective somewhere. So we'll try to fix this as well. And of course, we'll get rid of this stupid logo in the corner because I don't do that kind of stuff anymore. So yeah, we're gonna make sure that the whole background is really supporting the main characters. It should be a cozy, creepy in a fun way kind of cemetery. Tim Burton, This Is Halloween, Addams Family, that kind of stuff. One thing we're gonna keep as a legacy is the fact that this picture looks like it's daytime, and by the whole idea of the picture as Addams Family, vampires kind of style, it should probably be night. But I feel like as we look at this picture with its white sketch for a background, we really read this as daytime. And I think we should keep it that way. I think it brings certain lightness to the whole situation. Nighttime would be kind of too grim for this scenario. I don't know why I feel like daytime would be just better. Plus, you know, they may be vampires, and since normal people go to work at daytime and go hanging out on a date usually at the nighttime, it kind of makes sense that vampires would do the opposite and go on a date in a daytime. So now let's talk about the characters. So on the lady, I really don't know if I want to change anything at all. She seems to be perfect. I may make her body look a bit more three-dimensional. Maybe I would put shoulders in more of an actually three-dimensional positioning, because right now this distance is much shorter than this, and that just means that something is swimming unconsciously. So we'll probably fix a little bit of that and generally make sure that we do very good dynamics of the shape to pretty much not ruin the dynamics that she already has. With all her emotion, like she's pressing her chin to her body and her whole movement is like this. She's like all, haha, so cute, you know? She's very shy and it really reads well with her little hands grabbing her little purse and she's all like, haha. It's really cool looking. So at least we do the actual proper lighting rendering and maybe slightly adjust her shape in a sense of three-dimensional construction. And now the guy. The guy has some problems. I'm not 100% sure if I'm not okay okay with his shape of the body generally anatomically, but I mean, if we look at the lady, her torso probably ends here, and she actually probably has legs. Something like that, probably. And the guy, obviously, he just ends with the shoes, and that's it. So we may actually change his body by adding pants. And of course, another thing is that his body looks like a barrel or a bag of something. His posture doesn't really bring any emotion or anything. He's just, you know, like he doesn't really want to be here or something. This is not what we want. He wants to be here. So I think on one hand he may do this kind of movement, so he would be all proud while giving the flower to his lady. Or, which is I think better, we should make him also kind of shy, so the movement again will be pretty much the same way the girl has, which is a good idea in general for them both to have the same kind of body language, so they would look more like these two work together. So yeah, we'll probably make his body more like this, and the head will be kind of like doing the opposite thing, like the body is like this and the head is like this. But that's not all. Another thing that we should definitely fix is this arm. It's so weird that I decided to do this. I think I even remember back then I also thought, yeah, I guess I messed it up with this arm, but I just didn't fix it because this whole drawing was like a huge amount of work for me back then, and redoing it was a bit too much at the moment, so I just decided, it's good enough. Also, another thing that beginner artists have is that they underestimate the influence of a mistake. Especially if you know it, and you think like, okay, I'll just blend in something, I'll just hide it a little bit. It's probably still not gonna work out, and you will waste a lot of time creating a picture that is not good at all. So what I'm talking about is that the guy shouldn't hand the flower with this arm, it should be that arm. Because as you can see, I kind of struggled a lot to make sure that the flower sticks out of his silhouette. And in order to be able to do that, I made this arm really long. Like, compare it to the length of the arm right here. This, if he would bring it to the ground, it would be like, what the hell is that? It would be enormous. So we should give that arm a rest, probably right here, or maybe kind of, I don't know, maybe grabbing the color of his jacket or something. And this further arm will now do the job of handing the flower, something like that. And that would make a really good improvement. There won't be a weird distortion of proportions, and generally the picture will have a very clear silhouette, which is really good. We'll see the guy, we'll see the arm with the flower, we'll see the girl. Just right. We don't need to make anything more complex than it should be. So these are my main thoughts at the moment. As I said, we're gonna render it with the full color, rich lighting rendering, but we're gonna make sure this is still a cartoon picture. Of course, we're gonna lose all the outlines, all the black lines from the picture, so there won't be any outlines, but the shapes, they will be very cartoonish, the proportions, obviously, and of course the simplicity. All the shapes should not bring any kind of anatomical detail, they should bring the emotion, just like we have on this girl with all the wrinkles on the dress and everything just working very well together. So we're gonna make sure we don't ruin it and actually improve it. So yeah, enough talking, let's start painting. So here we are. It's been a couple of days, but let's continue. This is what we've got at the moment. Obviously still searching. I'm still not happy with the surrounding and didn't really get to render the characters yet as well, so everything is in progress still. Couple of things I want to mention right away that I definitely want to change at this stage. Red color shouldn't be that red. Obviously, the gamma of the picture is rather cold, and in that cold lighting, usually red won't be able to be that bright. That's why it looks kind of weird right now. It can't be that bright. It almost looks like all the red objects kind of glow a little bit. But that's a little thing. The main problem is the background at the moment. This fence, this was really first idea I've got. We should definitely change it. Maybe do something, you know, the way it was in the original, but with more consideration of perspective. So this front plane should be a little bit more interesting and not that flat. Also, we're kind of missing this ground right here. It's kind of too blank. We only have some of the gravestones close to the characters in this area, and then suddenly they're only, like, noticeably far away. There's something missing in between to have a consistent surface of the cemetery. Also, I'll try to make the picture look a bit more fun. Right now, the whole gamma, I did follow a pretty decent, I think it looks really good as just a morning on the cemetery with a foggy, kind of cloudy weather going on. It looks rather good, but we need to add something fun to this. I'm not sure what. Maybe I'll just make the grass and the trees more colorful or something like that. Maybe we'll play with the clouds. They would shape something more interesting, because right now it's really just a flat, gray UK sky. And on the characters, I obviously did quite a lot of fixes on them, but I didn't render them yet. So the first thing I started with is I just added the filter on top of everything to get me started, to have like a good base to break into the picture without forcing myself to repaint something that is kind of polished already. It's always a bit unpleasant. So I used this surface blur filter and applied it rather strongly, so it kind of leaves the highest contrast details but blurs out everything else. Kinda looks nice as adaptation for an actual full color rich lighting rendering. So I did that, then I moved the guy's head a bit, changed the position of the arms, and slightly changed the silhouettes of the backs and the heads, added the pants for the guy. Quite a lot of changes, and I think they work pretty well. I decided to remove this somewhat grotesque bump on the backs of their heads. They look like aggressively overweight. That was kind of weird that I did this. Like on her, it kind of looks like the head, but on the guy, it obviously like sticks out at the bottom part. Like he's like really fat at his back. I don't know what that was about. So now things look a bit nicer. So let's go ahead and do a bit more fixing on everything, a bit more marking in of what we actually want to see, or I want to see. In the end of this episode, I want you guys to take a look at the picture and tell me what you think, so I would add something or remove something or change something if you guys think I should. But for now, let's do some more search. Okay, this is it for now. Fixed a lot of stuff with the background, especially in the foreground. Made sure the ground actually looks like a legit ground with different kinds of like stones and different types of soil all over the place, creating the texture, and a bunch of little bushes or just bits of grass hanging around here and there. Added more gravestones in the middle ground over here, so it looks more like it actually has continuity in the surface. And generally feels not that empty, so I think it works pretty well. Bunch of other fixes on the background. Still hating this thing. It's almost the same as it was in the original. I mean, it's kind of better, but not really. I think I need to search more on this area. You guys tell me what to put in here, or I kind of want to put a fence somewhere in the foreground, but how to fit it in so it would make any sense. Added a bunch of colorful blue and violet flowers here and there, so they bring a little bit of more juice to the picture, so it would look a bit more fun and more saturated. I generally don't really feel like I need it, because I find the gothic aesthetics fun as it is, without any colorful additions. Like, I don't need Tim Burton to like vampires and stuff like that, but I don't know, this picture needs a bit more punch like that, so we're gonna be doing that maybe even more. I did a bunch of work on the values of the characters as well, a little bit on the dress of the lady and the hair, but mostly, of course, I did the dude today because he needs a lot more work generally. So I did the shapes of his cheeks, actually pressing the eyes on the sides with the smile, and the hair. The hair really needed some definition so it would look like a three-dimensional shape, so I think it works out. A lot of work on the eyes as well, but still not sure. I feel like when I started fixing the values a bit, I felt like maybe redesigning them at all, but that's a risky thing to do. I like this guy as he is. I already made this eye much wider here, so they would actually be symmetrical eyes. Feels a bit more geometrically appropriate. So yeah, this is it. You guys tell me what you think. Hope you're liking the process and what we're getting here. Of course, we're far from done, but maybe we will be done in the next episode, we'll see. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I really love these characters and hope you do as well. And I thank you for watching if you did. I guess you did if you're here. Leave a like and subscribe, tell a friend. Show that you care. Do whatever you want. And I will see you in the next one. Bye! Well, this place feels a lot more real now comparing to the original, and I don't even know what I feel about it. Like, it's kinda weird.